Okay, grab your pitchforks and join me because today I am going to ruffle some feathers. Let's talk about why I strongly believe in delayed writing for your homeschool. Well, for all kids, but especially for my homeschool. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shanna, and if you are new here, we're a homeschooling family of 4. We are halfway through our 9th year of homeschooling. I have an 8th grader and a 4th grader, and because of this, I feel incredibly confident in sharing with you what our approach is, why I feel strongly about taking this approach, and also the results of this approach. So before we can go any further, guys, let's jump right into my writing approach for our homeschool and why it works. Before we go any further, please scroll down, hit that big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. Now, I know that some people, most people, are going to have very strong contradictory feelings to mine about this topic. And that is because it has been so incredibly drilled into us, not only as parents, not only as educators, not only as someone who is helping someone else to learn, but even in our own educational experience, in our own life experience, we have been told that your ability to write is the single biggest thing that we should be focusing on. And I could not agree less. Here we go. I'm going to lay this out for you, and I'm going to explain my why, and I'm going to explain our how, and I'm going to explain how I feel about it now that I am not on the backside, but I've definitely reached the peak in our homeschool career, and I'm coming down the other side of the mountain. And I can tell you this approach and this method has worked for us very well. So let's start with why I think we are here. We have had, since the early aughts, an incredibly large focus on our students producing a product. They need to be able to be tested in a standardized fashion, and the way that they can do that is by rote memorization and constant drilling and constant instruction on the things that they will be tested on. And those tests are determined by some overseeing overlord who decides whether or not the test scores of those students directly impact pay scales and public funding and ranking and all of the things that go along with a large bureaucratic education system. And I can tell you, part of the reason that I didn't want my children in that system is because I feel like it does not do them a service, and I feel like it is stifling. Now, I understand. My caveat to that is I am a huge proponent of education, I'm a huge proponent of public education, but that doesn't mean that I think that they're getting it all right. It also doesn't mean that I think the people on the ground operating the systems are in any way in control of the systems that govern them and what they do. And I understand that, and I sympathize with that. But by taking on the homeschool of my children, that gave us an opportunity to pivot and to do things differently. So for me, my primary goal when it came to choosing to homeschool my children is that the first child that came along was ahead of where she needed to be. We discuss things often. We read an absolute great deal. We have open-ended Socratic discussions, and we always have. We've aimed very hard to use advanced vocabulary so that she understands what is happening. We read books together above her grade level, and we always have. We always focused on recognizing letters and things like that very early. And that set her apart from her peers in preschool. Because of that, that led us to decide that maybe we should consider homeschooling. And once we latched onto this notion, we knew it was the right choice for us. And now that it has been 9.5 years, I can tell you it was 100% the right decision for us. And we have done several things along the way. The first of which was deciding and keeping ourselves accountable to if at any point we lost momentum, we lost ground, we lost that advantage that we felt like we had instilled in her from the beginning, we would reevaluate what we are doing. Now, with this, we took quite a few liberties with the educational trajectory of my oldest child. We started with a distance-based model, which told us what we had to do, which wasn't that much, honestly, because it was kinder and first, so it wasn't that big of a deal. We then moved on to Timberdoodle non-religious curriculum kits, which provided us with several other things. Now, some of the things that they did provide us with, first language lessons. I have a video on this from way back on this channel, and daily writing traits where they're focusing on writing a thing every day, and then also all about reading. Now, we did abandon first language lessons, I think after a couple years, and daily writing traits we abandoned pretty early on. Why? I do not believe that, are you ready for this? I know this is going to be where it gets really hinky. I don't believe that we should be asking kindergartners, first graders, second graders, third graders to produce for us writing. Why? I do not feel like it is developmentally appropriate, because for me, it is more important to me that my child understands the written word, has a love and appreciation of the written word. And the way that we do that is we focus on reading and vocabulary early. We read together out loud. We read advanced books together. We are focusing on reading all the time, learning how to read. So we start with all about reading. All about reading teaches children phonetics, which is another thing that really has kind of been phased out as far as mass school market. Focuses on phonetics and phonograms, pairs that with spelling programs so that they're getting the kind of repeat of the phonics, the understanding of why things sound the way they do, why words are built the way that they are. So we focus on all about reading early. We read early. Now, my children are always have access to creative things that they can do. They have blank books, how to draw a comic. They have tons of how to draw materials. They have access to blank books, blank journals, blank, just a little bound, kind of construction paper outside books. They have access to digital programs like Canva and fun typing games and things like Night Zookeeper, which prompts them to play fun games that turns out are learning, prompts them to spell, prompts them with open-ended questions, asking them about characters that they have created. All of that gameplay, all of that creative outlet is building a foundation for what will come later. It is building creativity. It is building an ability to answer open-ended questions with your imagination. It is subtly planting hints and clues of what will come later. And I feel like this is where we have gained the greatest amount of success. So our programming here in our home, which sounds very formulaic, but it is not, is that they always have access to these creative things. We use big, full words. We read a lot. We discuss everything we possibly can. We also make sure that our children can read. Not necessarily early, but we make sure that they can read well, read strongly before we focus on any amount of writing instruction. I have enjoyed using the Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts program. Now, the way that you determine readiness for this is if you say, my children are no longer learning to read, they are reading to learn. The Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts program starts in level 1, which is about second or third grade, by the masses. It is billed as a language arts curriculum for the gifted and talented children. And I have said this many times. I do not feel like that is the case. I just feel like it takes a more creative approach, which tends to be more aligned with gifted and talented programming because it works well for the brains of children. So Michael Clay Thompson has a very strong emphasis on vocabulary, on advanced classic literature, and on grammar and the love of language. So poetics is built right into the program. I also love that there is a relaxed or reduced focus on writing while somehow also being incredibly advanced academic writing. And if you see my Michael Clay Thompson curriculum coverage videos, you will understand maybe a little bit better what that means. But Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts focuses on a very strong foundation of grammar before everything else. And that is because when their program starts in level 1, now they do have an introductory grammar program that we have used and absolutely loved because it is bright, it is colorful, it is fun, it is a read aloud, and it is very simple. And it is called the Poodle series. And it lays a wonderful foundation to letting your kids know the parts of speech and even clauses and proper comma usage throughout the 5-part series, even a little art history. It is an amazing program. But the goal of this program is to make strong writers. And that is because they lay that solid foundation of grammar. There is no expectation in the entire first level that your children will write anything. They will understand how to make a good sentence. They will understand what makes up a good sentence. Why? Because we cannot build a wall if we do not have the blocks. The blocks are grammar. Grammar, parts of speech. Okay, parts of sentence, clauses and phrases. We are understanding the pieces. Now, while I tell you that my writing philosophy is to delay and never to expect we'll circle back to this in a minute, but never to expect just formulaic output, that doesn't mean that I am not planting the seeds for when they will be good writers. And that is exactly what happens when I feel like we marry the All About Reading program with the Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts, and then we give them full-fledged access to the creative pieces. My children, while I do not expect any amount of writing, my 4th grader has just started giving me paragraphs, okay? So no essays, no nothing like that, just paragraphs with some very basic little prompts out of our Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts program. And I do not stress about this because I know that we will get there. So we now have just a little bit of required, please give me a product when it comes to writing. But I can tell you that my children, as long as they have been on this earth and can remotely hold any amount of writing utensil, now whether or not it looked like a scribble or it looked like words, my children have been writing stories. They have been binding up their own books and stapling them. They have been drawing the pictures. They've been giving me graphic novels. They've been giving me all kinds of elaborate writings. They love to plug in Night Zookeeper, draw their characters, and give them a full-fledged backstory. They will fill in their how to draw a comic. They give me so much creative outlet when it comes to writing, when it comes to word, that I know we are on the right track. Now, do I evaluate those things that they give me? Absolutely not. Why not? Because it is more important to me at this stage of life that they love the word. They love the story. They love the process. They enjoy what they are doing. That as they've gotten older and as we've progressed, we aren't fighting a battle of writing. Now that my 8th grader is coming along, am I grading her papers according to ALA, AMA? According to proper academic writing format? Absolutely. Am I expecting high-level vocabulary? Absolutely. But the work, the product that I am getting out of my students, out of my learners, by not forcing formula, and there is nothing more dull, drab, and terrible. And this is, I told you I'd circle back. If I am asking my students to write me a sentence, Jack played ball, is that necessary? Honestly, is there a point where you felt like you had to sit down and explain that to your learner? Because I never have, okay? Simply in reading and in understanding how the words come together, they understand the concepts of a sentence. Did I need to teach them subject versus predicate? Yeah, absolutely I did. But I didn't sit down and expect them to give me a 5-sentence paragraph every time I asked them to tell me about their day. Do we do writing prompts before it is asked of us in our language arts now? No, we don't. Do I expect every single paragraph to have at least 5 sentences? No. Why? Because that's not real life. And Mr. Michael Clay Thompson will tell you right off the bat, if a paragraph has 1 sentence and that sentence tells you everything you need to know for that paragraph, it is a good paragraph, okay? I want my kids to come to the table excited to write. I want my kids to come to the table knowing the parts of a sentence. early. I want them coming to the table with an advanced vocabulary early, because then when they are writing later, they plug in all those pieces. All of those pieces have been ingrained in them, and they create a truly amazing product from their writings, because we allowed them to love it first, to understand the words first, to know the pieces and the grammar and the beauty that can come from poetry before I asked them to write me an essay. So my 8th grader is now writing me essays on multiple prompts, okay? We're excited. Okay, she has 4 large essays that she has to do this school year in 8th grade for her Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts program. And she does have the ability to kind of choose what she wants to do. So the prompts are as simple as, a 3-page essay on a single source. Give us something good. And her decision was to share with us how Charles Dickens used language to always keep us tethered in the time of Scrooge, despite time travel and despite distance travel and despite multiple spirits showing up past, present, and future. The words and the language and the imagery that he used to keep us tethered to the proper place and time. Her next paper is going to be how British monarchs have influenced modern feminism. And these are things that I know by not asking her, here's what I did on my summer vacation, write me 4 paragraphs. This level of writing is coming out of and being born of asking open-ended questions and letting her make a book on whatever it was she ever wanted to do. And allowing my kids to learn about the importance of big words, but also the importance of using less words. To allow them to focus on the sounds of words and how those can give you a bigger impact in your storytelling. By encouraging my children to embrace their formal academic writing as storytelling, by allowing them first to live a story, experience a story, and to want to share their story, I know that has gotten us to where we are now. And I know that it's going to serve them very well throughout their upcoming academic pursuits. We've allowed them to write without parameters. We have allowed them to give us things without that pressure of being judged or graded on them, which is, I think, where our counterparts are greatly missing out. Not everything needs to be for a grade. Not everything needs to produce a product. Not everything has to be for some other purpose. You can do it for the joy of doing it, for the wonderful amazingness that is language. Now, I'm not saying we didn't do anything along the way. We learned to read. We read great books. We focus on vocabulary. We put the pieces in place for good grammar and good sentence structure and phrases and clauses and all of those bits that go into good writing. We laid all that early. So when it comes time for them to do good writing, they're focused on the good writing and not what it takes to make up a sentence. Because again, we laid all those foundations early. We loaded up our wheelbarrows with the bricks that they were going to need, and we were just waiting for them to be ready to be at the place where now I can grade her academic paper and I can, really get into that. And she understands what I'm talking about because we've read great literature. We've used big vocabulary and we know what it takes to make a great sentence, to say things, not with what, the words that you're putting out there, but with your meaning with the words, what you really want to say, getting to that underlying kind of gravity of the situation that does produce good writing. Because I'm sorry, I don't want to sit here and read garbage, bare minimum, checking the box kind of stuff any more than anyone else does. Nobody wants to produce it, and I don't want to read it, grade it, or evaluate it. So instead, we just hold off. And when it comes time, it's better because of it. And again, I can say I've got an 8th grader now. I'm feeling really good about where we are in the language arts department as far as how we have set them up. Her papers are good, like not just good. It's interesting. The theses that are coming out of her ideas on what to share. It is truly amazing. And then it's something else that I do think stands out really for Michael Clay Thompson as well, is that it is such an open-ended choice of what to write, because even my daughter, who's my fourth grader, who's now getting, a paragraph prompt a week, the prompt is, here is, a paragraph that both compares and contrasts. Choose two things to compare and contrast in your paragraph. That's it. There's no minimum number of sentences. There's no telling you exactly what to compare and contrast. It allows her to, one, learn more and focus on what she enjoys, which makes better writing. It allows us to have better discussions, and it allows her, I am certain, to write more than she would otherwise, because it is something that interests her, that she feels strongly about, and she knows she's doing a good job. And a passionate writer is going to give us something better every single time. So if you have had questions about my writing approach and why I do things this way, this is why. This is why. And I can't tell you that I knew looking out that it was going to work out, but I had pretty good faith. And I feel really strongly that my child's writing is good. It is good writing because they were allowed to have the passion for the word first. For me, it is more important to me, guys, it really is more important to me that I have a good reader than a good writer, because good readers will always find the answer. They'll know how to find the answer. They'll know where to source the answer, even if they can't synthesize it in a manner well enough to share that with other people. If they can get that information from themselves, that they can be somebody who enjoys reading, who understands where to find those things, I do believe they will inherently be better writers. Just exposure to the word. I hope that you found this helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. Let me just recap really fast. I really strongly believe in delayed writing because, one, it isn't academic, it is not developmentally appropriate to ask. They can't even hold a pencil or form letters. They need to read before they can write, and they need to love the word before we're asking them to give us something we would even want to read. This is really important to me. The things that we have used and found great success, All About Reading, Michael Clay Thompson, things like Night Zookeeper, draw your own comic, write your own comic, any kind of drawing, any kind of vocabulary. These are things that are crucial for us. Asking open-ended questions and big discussions and passionate writings. This is something that I know is going to serve my kids. I don't care what they do. I know that my oldest daughter, she pursues musical theater. She's a better storyteller because she can understand better writings. She makes better writings because she has higher level reading. It all comes back together. And for me, I'm really passionate about this. And I wish more people just understood that not everything needs to produce a product. It can be good and it can be fun without having to be gradable. But I know that that's not how the masses work. And not how the masses work is part of the reason we homeschool. Bye, guys.